When Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess was announced at the 2023 Xbox Games Showcase, I was intrigued for many reasons. The game's look caught my eye, but the main reason was that it was being developed and published by Capcom. Capcom, recently, have been focused on sequels and remakes, so a new IP from them made me sit up and pay more attention to it. Fast forward to 2024. Ahead of the game's release, Capcom released a demo for everyone to get a taste of the game, and I jumped on that chance. So, what was it like? Well, let's talk about it. Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess, is a Japanese-inspired action-adventure fantasy game. The game takes place on a mountain, Mount Kafuku, that has been ravaged by a strange phenomenon known as defilement. The player takes on the role of So, a warrior and guardian of the maiden Yoshiro. Together, they must cleanse the entire mountain and get rid of the defilement to return things to normal. The demo thrusts you right into the thick of it. You are greeted by several tutorials. I found this overwhelming at first, but chalked it up to it being a demo. I am sure the tutorials will be reasonably paced in the full game. You arrive at a section of the mountain during the day. You are then told how the game works. Essentially, you have a day and night cycle that naturally repeats. During the day, you have to prepare defenses like setting up traps and assigning roles to villagers you rescue. At this time, you also have the chance to carve a path to the gate you have to purge, using resources you get from the environment and defeating enemies. At night, the monsters attack. You have to protect Yoshiro and survive the night until day comes. Once you, Yoshiro, and the villagers purge the gate, the level ends. Sounds simple, but it took me a few cycles to get the hang of the game. Let's start with the aesthetics. I adore the visuals in this game. The Japanese-inspired art style really adds a lot to the game's lore and gameplay. The music is great too. It is peaceful during downtime and stressful during combat. Next, let's move on to the combat. You have two attack buttons and a block button. You can combine the attacks to make combos. Combos feel great and was very fun. I found out that using combos was an effective way to destroy a group of enemies. You also have a special ability that recharges over time. This is one of the many customizable elements of the game. You can also heal yourself using rations. The next mechanic of the game is the villager system, which took me, I admit with shame, longer than it should have to come to grips with. When you arrive at the mountain, there are many things you can purge, and one of them is corrupted villagers. Once you clear them of the corruption, you can assign them different roles to help you in combat. You have both offensive roles, like the woodcarver and archer, and defensive roles, like the shaman. To be honest, I questioned the effectiveness of the villagers. There were some instances where they were truly helpful, but many others where they were not. For example, enemies would walk right past the woodcarver I placed to stop them, or the flying enemies would fly right past the archer. I don't know if this is intentional or not, as to make the player more involved in the game instead of just sitting back and letting the villagers do all the work, but I hope this can be addressed at some point. I also found some of them, especially the archer, to be quite weak. I can also chalk this up to the fact that there is also a healer role in the form of the shaman. You can also heal your villagers using the same rations you used to heal So. At one point, I felt as if I had too many rations, but later on in the demo, I came to regret that thought, as I got to a point where I had no rations to heal either myself or the villagers. One main mechanic of the game is the ability to pass time. The game has a natural day and night cycle, but the ability to pass time is, in my opinion, essential in this game. Sometimes you finish your preparations long before night comes, but most importantly, it is essential when it comes to Yoshiro. As mentioned before, you have to create a path to the gate for Yoshiro to follow. You can command her to start moving and stop at will. However, she moves at a snail's pace. Passing the time allows the player to stay engaged in the game instead of just standing by, waiting and doing nothing until nighttime comes for you to fight. One thing I found cool was that when the enemies get too close to Yoshiro, she yells, "Help me." I played the demo on the PlayStation 4, and this sound comes from the controller. Very few games do this, but I found this a neat touch and added a little more urgency for me to get to Yoshiro to protect her. Players select levels from the map overview screen. Once a level is completed, more levels open up. After the introductory mission, a save zone opens up for you. Here, you can rest, but most importantly, this is the place where you manage everything, from the villagers to your abilities and much more. I want to talk about one last thing, protecting Yoshiro. At first, protecting Yoshiro was pretty simple and easy, but as more levels opened up, this got significantly harder. Some levels even have multiple paths and openings for enemies to get to Yoshiro from, so being strategic with where you place your defenses and where you spend your time is crucial. I did, however, find a flaw. Well, maybe it may not be a flaw of the game and rather just me playing the game badly, but I still think it is important to mention. When nighttime comes, Yoshiro stops moving wherever she reaches. This obviously makes sense. She can't move when the enemies are attacking. However, there is no ability to make her move backwards, at least not that I found. This may seem unnecessary or even a dumb thing for me to mention, but hear me out. On the bonus level of the demo, I was so close to getting Yoshiro to the gates during one cycle. However, I stopped just short. I mean, literally 2 feet from the gate. This was a huge problem. It didn't give me and the villagers any space to protect Yoshiro. As soon as the enemies exited the gate, Yoshiro was right there for them to attack. As a result, I died a couple of times. Luckily, when So dies, he enters the spirit state for a brief period of time before he respawns. However, when Yoshiro dies, she does not come back. The game loads to the last checkpoint. During the day, I didn't find a way to heal Yoshiro. Maybe this is intentional, and I just need to be better and controlling when and how Yoshiro moves. However, if this isn't intentional, I hope the developers address this issue. The demo for Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess was a fun time. It was a great introduction to a game that, I believe, was shrouded in a bit of mystery. The entire presentation of the game was charming. However, there are a few issues I have with the game. I also fear that the gameplay loop of going from section to section of the mountain might get boring for some people. However, this was just a demo. There may be more the developer is saving for the full game. If you enjoy action-adventure games, and especially Japanese-inspired media, this is one you should keep your eye on. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Have you played the demo? Are you interested in this game? Do you agree or disagree with something I said? Let me know in the comments below. That is it from me. I hope you all have a good one. This is Kid Kojo signing off.